Your trauma causes more damage to your soul than we often think it does. Many of us are just operating in this place of survival and best way we know how, unfortunately. And it's leading to a life that is full of lack, unfortunately, sorrow, a lot of grief, confusion, lack of progress, lack of advancement, spiritually, mentally, physically, everything is suffering behind it. And a couple of weeks ago, I announced that I wrote my first book, Broken Bones Do Heal. So if you haven't, go and check that out on Amazon. But I wrote my first book, and the very first chapter is called The Trauma That I Remember. And I named it The Trauma That I Remember because, first of all, because the chapter is about childhood trauma, and about how we as children endure the traumas that the enemy uses against us for our lives, or for a majority of our lives, until we are able to discover his plot against us. But not only that, I specifically said the trauma I remember because I wanted to share, especially with those who know me, my perception and my perspective, my understanding, and the way that I rationalized what I went through, and basically how it affected me, and how my understanding of the events that happened in my life, how they, really shaped my mind going forward from a young child up into adulthood, how those things really shape me. And I think it's important for us to really sit down and acknowledge that. I know, a lot of people, a lot of individuals are at the point in their life where they think, oh, well, it doesn't matter. I just need to move on. But I will tell you firsthand that there's no such thing as just moving on from trauma. There's no such thing as just moving on from grief. No such thing as just moving on from a betrayal. No such thing as just moving on from molestation. No such thing as just moving on from murder, from the loss of someone in your life. There's no such thing as just moving on. The reality is that we have to face and we have to process the things that happen to us. And when we don't correctly process, or process in a way that we get the proper understanding, or that we're actually able to deal healthily with the emotions, what we do is end up suppressing. And we think that what we think is getting over something, or what we think is just, I'm over that, is really, I have suppressed that. It's really that I have put that away in a box somewhere, and I don't want to deal with it. But there always comes a point in your life, especially, and this is for the believers, especially for the believers who seek to advance in purpose, who seek out the Lord, and who begin to obey him, follow him, become more like him, and just begin to move in all that he has for them, or all that he desires for them. You do not get to just put away anything, and you don't get to just forget about it. Those things will come up, and they have to come up, because God always deals with them. God will always deal with them, okay? So whatever that you have from your childhood, you have put away and suppressed and put into this little box in the corner of your mind, guess what? Guess what? When it comes to literally surrendering before God, literally coming to the place where you want pure worship, where you want him to give you a clean heart, and renew your spirit, all of these things he's going to expose. And why? Because God is the purest form of love. He's the purest form of light and righteousness. And when that comes upon you, everything that you have hidden away, or everything that is hidden away in the dark, or everything that you have hidden away, it comes into the light. And so you can't run from it. And I say it's a blessing. Like I said, a lot of people don't want to deal with those things, but when you really want to be free, and you really want to be free in Christ, you have to deal with it. You have to deal with it. And so that first chapter of my book is about childhood trauma, my childhood trauma, and how I perceived it and everything. And one of the things that I have learned is that when we do not go about and get our healing properly, especially when we seek out in the world for everything, for any type of healing, and what we think that we're seeking in the world, there's nothing in the world that can heal our souls. What we need is out of this world, okay? I mean, he's in this world by his spirit, but he's out of this world, you know? He's not made of this world, you know? And so what we actually need, we can't find it here. So all the things and the people and the methods and the yoga this, and I'm doing yoga and I'm meditating and I'm doing this and I'm balancing this and balancing that. None of that is going to fix it. None of that is going to break the curses. None of it is actually going to add more. If I may be honest, it's actually going to add more. But none of that is going to deal with the reality that there is a need for God's love in your life, to really come in and to love the actual HE double hockey sticks out of some places in your life, and to love you in the places where you have been rejected, to love you and to stay by you in the places where you have been abandoned, and to really just deal with you in that manner. And one of the things this morning that the Lord was just reminding me that people are dealing with is the indoctrination, basically, of their trauma, how their trauma has indoctrinated them, and how their trauma has been what has formed a set of beliefs and things in them that they live by. And you see a lot of people operating, and you be wondering, why do you act like that? You know that sound? It says, why do you act like that? Like what? The way you act. Why do you act like that? You act like that because there's something that has happened in your life that has reshaped the way that you think, that has reshaped the way that you believe, that has reshaped the way that you perceive, and has reshaped the way that you understand. Or what has happened is, and one of the things that I wrote about as well in this book, is that when we, and I have actually done a video about this as well, is that when something happens to us, especially at a young age, there are things in us sometimes that do not get the chance to mature or develop properly, because it's almost like that thing has been crippled or handicapped at that point, or that part, our personalities, what we realize or what we see is that parts of our personality do not mature, and certain parts of our thinking, our rationalization, it doesn't mature. And it's not that it can't, but that it just, because of what happened at that point, a lot of times we cut it off. We cut that thing off, and then we begin to move a different way. You know, if somebody has hurt you really bad in your life, our normal reaction is to cut that place off and say, I won't allow anybody to come in there anymore and do that. And when we do that, we think it's us protecting ourselves and protecting our hearts and everything. But what we actually do is cut ourselves off and literally speak lack, literally bring ourselves to the point where, okay, there will be no more progress and advancement and development in this place, and that leaves immaturity. And some of us have been left back at 5 years old. Some of us have been left back at 6. Some of us have been left back, at whatever age that those things begin to happen to you. Some of us have been left back there, and so what was left undeveloped, our personality and things that was left undeveloped, are still in operation. And what happens is we don't see it until certain situations come arise. So we don't see these things until intimate relationships. I know one of the things that we hear a lot is that your most intimate relationships will reveal your traumas. They will reveal the places where you are not healed. And that's why I say, if you're going all in for God, it's going to reveal it. He's going to reveal it. But the thing with God is, you may go and have a relationship with somebody else. And, these things may be revealed. And when they're revealed, you don't know what to do. But when they're revealed in your relationship with God, God will give you the remedy for it. And so many people have this doctrine according to their trauma. They have this doctrine according to their trauma, and it's causing them to really be locked into a life of suffering, of a life that has no real peace, a life that has, no real resolve, a life where they cannot be free, a life where they desire to live in their truth, but don't know the truth. And because they don't know the truth, they technically don't know their their truth. They only know the truth that they have formed, or a truth that they have formed to themselves based off of what they have perceived in life, based off of what they have perceived of people, what they have perceived of man, what they have perceived of themselves, of their self-esteem, and everything. They have formed some type of truth, and this truth they have accepted in their hearts. And when they have accepted it in their hearts, it has become doctrine. It has become a thing to live by. It has become really strongholds. It has become thoughts, and seeds of doubt and discouragement and things that have been planted that they have lived by, And so my prayer really, even with this book, is that those who read it will be able to look at themselves, reflect on their lives, and look at themselves and really say, okay, Lord, I this is what has happened to me. And I didn't realize the ways that I have responded to the world around me, as well as you, because of these things. Because even how my trauma affected me also affected my relationship with God. It affected how I responded to God. And thank God he healed. Of course, he healed me. And he's still healing me, still making me whole. But I had to see that, wow, Lord, a lot of my thinking, I have been programmed. And allowed myself to be programmed by the trauma, by what happened to me. And it happened. And the way it happens, you don't really realize, because it's just a matter of, okay, this is how I know to pick myself up and to keep going. A lot of how we have, reprogrammed ourselves is just a matter of, this is how I have learned to move forward. Because one, somebody wasn't there to teach me, or two, because this is just the best way that I knew to feel better. It's the best way that I knew to feel better about this, or to feel better about myself. And it's easier to put a thing away, okay, to have the idea or to have the thought that I feel better because I put it away. But like I said, when that thing comes up in your life, when that situation comes up in your life, and all of that comes back up, or all of it comes back up, that trigger doesn't go away if you don't deal with it. Okay, that wound is not going away if you don't address it. And so it's always going to find a way. It's always going to be something. And when it's time for you to grow, oftentimes when it's time for us to grow, that's when that thing is picked at. When it's time for us, we come to a place in our life where we need to advance, or it's time for, especially spiritually, with God. This is what I learned even just in my process now. And I can't wait till the second book comes out. For you guys to even just read more about, how things have been, even after things, after the testimony, how things have been, that God really, really, really allowed. I mean, he really, when we are coming to these places where growth is necessary, where advancement is necessary, where we're trying to go to new levels and things, that's when those things become challenged. That's when those things in us that are not addressed, have not been dealt with, that are trauma, that are still, or even still remnants of the trauma and things, that's when those things are challenged. And then when we're challenged, you either have, a lot of people have that fight or flight. You know what I'm saying? You're either going to stand and fight, and you're going to do what you need to do so that you can get your deliverance, so that you can get your healing, or you're going to run from it, and we always have a choice, and God is patient with us. Even if we choose to run, God is patient with it, because I can say, even for myself, that a time or two I ran, a time or two I said, I'm not ready to deal with that yet, but then I had to come to the realization, well, if you want to move forward, and you have a desire, I had a desire in my heart, God, I want to be close to you. Just to be close to you is my desire, okay? Just to be close to you. Yeah. I had a desire to be close to him, and I always felt like God, something is locked up. Like I feel like something in me is locked up. Like I just can't get there with you, and I don't know what it is. And it was what I didn't want to deal with. It was what I was ashamed or afraid to confess. It was what I was just like feeling hopeless about, or feeling helpless about, or feeling like, God, if I even, what does it matter? How can it be fixed? I mean, it is what it is. I had it is what it is mindset for so long. I had there's no point in it, don't worry about it attitude for so long. And that is so many of us, y'all. So many of us have that attitude that it is what it is. It happened. Let's just move on. But God is like, I can't move on. We can't move on until we deal with this. Because the reality is that you're going to see these things more. You're going to see these things happen more. And there are going to be some things that even happen in your life, that some betrayal, some type of things that happen in your life where, if you are not healed, or if you're not dealt with, you're not going to be able to minister. Okay, you're not even going to be able to look past the flesh of an individual, because all you're going to see is yourself and something that's happening to you. And so even for your intercession, we have to deal with this, and so I bless God for it, and I thank him for the safe space that he gives, that he gave me, and that he will give you as well, for this to take place, for your healing to take place, and for these things, for your mind to be reset, for your heart, your spirit, your mind, your soul to be reset, to get that factory reset, to really where you have been, where you have had the doctrine of your trauma, for him to reprogram you with his word. And that's really what has to happen. We have to reprogram ourselves with his word. We have to allow that reprogramming to happen, because it will cause us to move different. It'll cause us to respond different. And not only that, the life that we will live, even just in his word, is abundant. The life we live in God's word is abundant. I don't even know how to explain it, but the life we live in his word is abundant. Okay. And my prayer is that many people, especially many people around me, will see that and will get to experience that, because it is truly something. Okay, it's something, and it's something to testify, and it's something to tell the world about. So again, y'all, if y'all have not already, I want y'all to go to Amazon and grab your copy of Broken Bones to Heal. Okay, it just released this November, a couple of weeks ago, and and it is a read. It is a read worth reading, just to see yourself. If nothing else, to see yourself, and to open up your eyes to something for yourself, and something maybe that you even desire with God. And my prayer is that you will receive hope again, and that you will pursue that in his love.